Iranian or Persian food is one of the most interesting cuisines for me to cook at the moment. So I'm going to pay homage to this wonderful cuisine by making some lamb shanks with jewelled rice. Now in a bowl I'm going to add my lamb shanks. Now before I add them I'm going to make a little spice mix. So 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, turmeric, which is very popular in Iranian cooking, and some cardamom powder, along with some freshly grated nutmeg. And I'm also going to add a really good pinch of salt now so this can season our meat. Now just give that a really quick mix with your teaspoon, and now we can coat the meat in this really nice fragrant spice rub. So make sure everything's coated, and if there's anything left over we will add it to the pot later on when we start to cook it for a further 1.5 hours. Perfect. Now I'm going to seal this in the pot, just taking off excess so it doesn't burn too much. Now to build on these flavours, I'm going to make a really flavoursome water. Here I've got some hot water and I'm going to add some saffron strands to really extract all of their flavour. Place them in the water and you'll see it'll start to not only colour the water, but it'll start to flavour that water. Now even just a small pinch goes a long way for this, so don't overuse it. Speaking about not overusing ingredients, I'm going to add some rose water now. 2 teaspoons is maximum for this. If you add any more rose water to this, it's going to taste like perfume. Also, I need the zest of 1 orange and the zest of 1 lime, and then I'm going to juice both citrus fruits. Now I've got a good crust on the lamb shanks now, so I'll just take them out and you can return them into the same bowl with all those spices, just for now, while I just get a little bit of colour on the onion. So 1 onion, beautiful. I'll also add a few herbs at this stage. I say a few herbs, but lots of thyme. I love thyme. That's going to flavour this. And 2 bay leaves can go in. We'll give this another stir. Beautiful. And once there's a little bit of colour on these onions, the lamb shanks can go straight back in with all of those remaining spices. Don't waste any of that, and just toss that a little bit. Perfect. And now for our intense jug of water. This is really important in this recipe. And then pour it in. And I'll add 2 cloves of garlic, just whole cloves of garlic. You don't need to slice them at all. And for some sweetness in this dish, some dried pitted prunes. So I'm just going to add 4 or 5, so split them up. And now we need to cover this with some stock. Now I've just got some chicken stock, but you could use some lamb stock, or beef stock works really well too. And I've got another 4 cups here. And once they're covered, just for extra assurance, I like to cover this with a cartouche, which is just a piece of baking paper that's cut into a circle. This is going to keep them really moist when they're cooking. And now I'll place the lid on top, and this is going to go into the oven 160 degrees for 1.5 hours. Now the lamb shanks have come out of the oven, so let's have a quick sticky beak, see if they're cooked perfectly. I'll take that cartouche off. It's done a wonderful job. Oh, it has indeed. Look how soft that meat is, and you can see all of that bone is exposed, and I can feel how tender that is. Now I'm going to take these lamb shanks out and just put them into a bowl, just for now, because you can see that this liquid is smelling fantastic, but I want it to be a little bit more saucy. So take these out, just like you're doing any other stew. Place the heat on to a medium to high heat, and this is going to bubble away for about 10 to 15 minutes, or until it starts to get really saucy. That gives me just enough time to make a rice. Now, in a pan as big as this, I'm going to add a little knob of butter, along with some olive oil, and I add the olive oil because I don't want that butter to burn. And we're just going to twirl that pan around to coat the base. and I'm going to start prepping some of the vegetables. Now I'm using a little bit of fennel here. This is quite a large bulb of fennel, so I'll just use half of this. I'll take that core out there, that woody core, and then I'll take the top off, and then we're just going to roughly chop this. You can add some onion at this stage too, or some spring onions. I'm just going to warm it up in the pan and slightly caramelize it. So into the butter there. And a little bit of parsley stalk. I will use the leaves later on for the garnish, but I don't want to add the leaves now because I don't want them to change colour. Perfect. And now let's give this all a really good toss. See how that's just started to caramelize? That's what I'm looking for. Now it's time to add the rice. Now that's cooked basmati rice, and that can go in now. And this is essentially just heating up all of these ingredients now, tossing it through the butter to flavour that rice. And some sultanas for a burst of sweetness. Just a small handful, separate them. And fresh fruit too. This is so wonderful. This is a pomegranate. I can feel how heavy it is, and I'm going to cut that in half. And this is where the true jewel name comes from, the little jewels inside. It's a fantastic flavour. It's a combination of sweet and slightly sour. Now I'm going to add this to the rice. I'll just give that one quick toss so it doesn't get too caramelised. And use the back of a spoon. It's the best way. And look at these little jewels coming out. And if there's a little bit of juice, just squeeze that out. That is gorgeous. Now I'm going to add a variety of nuts. Here I've got a duo of pepitas and almonds, so seeds also fantastic for this. A good handful in. I'm leaving them whole. And I've always got different varieties of dried nuts and dried fruit in the cupboard. This is a great way to use them up in dishes like this. Some pistachios. The colour of the pistachios, again, fantastic for a jewelled rice recipe like this. And lots of herbs, a big amount of parsley, and I'm also going to add some fresh mint here and then just chop them together really roughly. A big handful into the rice. That's a rainbow right there. And there you have it. That's it, ready to go. Let's have a look at this sauce. See how much it's reduced. You want it to be concentrated, so be patient with it. The meat's not going to go cold because it's going to heat up as soon as I add that sauce, which is right now. So a nice plate to serve up. I'll get this spoon. I'm going to start with the rice on one side of the plate here. I can hear that rice still sizzling away. And one lamb shank per person is plenty, and I'm just going to rest that in the plate next to that rice. And you know I love sauce, so I'm going to bring this plate over here to the sauce department, and I'm going to smother this in this delicious liquor. Beautiful. That's my Iranian-style lamb stew with jewelled rice. This is rich, this is fragrant. There's loads of different types of ingredients in here that makes this a dish for the whole family.